If I start, 3, 2, 1.
Can I sign up for a course when I haven't got my GCSE results yet?
Okay, good morning everyone, and thank you for joining us for the Business and Travel and Tourism Open Event webinar. I'll shortly be handing you over to Ian Morrison, who's the Head of Department for Business, Travel and Tourism, who will be delivering a short presentation. We have a Q&A session at the end of the presentation, so please type in any questions you have in the chat box and we will come back to those at the end. This webinar will be recorded and it will be available to you on our website from next week. So if you'd like to come back to it to find out more information, please do. And I'd now like to hand over to Ian. So Ian, over to you.
Okay, thanks very much, George. Okay, okay, good morning. So my name is Ian Morrison, as George said. I'm Head of Business and Travel here at Oaklands. So I just want to say thank you very much for taking the time this morning to come online. And I'll run through a few PowerPoint slides just to kind of introduce you to the course, what we offer in the college itself, and how the study programs are structured. But at the end, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have around that. So firstly, if I just give you an overview of the college itself, the college and the courses that we run are set over 2 different sites, one at Welwyn Garden City and one at St Albans. Each site offers a different kind of aspect to college life. St Albans is an old agricultural college set in a lot of countryside with sports facilities around it, where we have a lot of our academy students also participating in sport and residential students there who also get to study business on that site. The Welwyn Garden City campus is in the centre of Welwyn, opposite the John Lewis, and again it benefits from being on the edge of travel links into London as well. Each site as well holds other different subject areas as well as learning resource centres and other support systems that are in place for students when they study here. As I said, the Welwyn Garden City campus in particular boasts good links to London, and as well both sites are serviced by local travel, so commuting from the surrounding areas is something that we see a lot from our students. In terms of the courses that we offer, what I've got on the slide here is a kind of curriculum map to show you the different levels that we offer. We range from level 1 at business, which is run in conjunction with IT, which provides a range of base skills which will serve students well if they progress to level 2 business or into travel or decide to stay in the IT pathway as well. From that, we have level 2 courses. Level 2 business is run both at St Albans and at the Welwyn Garden City campus. It's a 1-year course, and level 2 in travel is run at the Welwyn Garden City campus. From there, students can progress into level 3 or join directly into level 3 depending on their qualifications. And again, we run level 3 qualifications in both business and in travel. Again, travel is based at Welwyn. We also have pathways into the foundation degree options. So should students wish to carry on studying at higher education in a setting they're familiar with, then we offer those options in conjunction with the University of Hertfordshire. A new option that we're also launching at the start of next academic year is qualifications around esports. Esports is a growing industry and it's run in conjunction with the sports department and the IT, and it gives students a chance to tap into the new growing area of esports. Particularly with lockdown, we've seen a real growth in this area and interest with online gaming, games design, hosting these events and so on. So this is a qualification that we'll also be introducing to our range of options within the business department, and that will be going live as of next year. In terms of accessing the qualification, like I mentioned before, we have entry requirements that will allow different students to access the course at different points. And this map just gives you a brief overview as to what those entry points are. For example, with level 3, we look at the GCSE grades that students have achieved or if they've completed a level 2 qualification prior to that successfully. Generally, we're looking for 4 grades, so 4 GCSEs at grade 4 or the old grade C or above, with maths and English being a real key as to what we're looking for. Level 2, the entry requirements are slightly lower. So again, it gives you an option to see what points and what level we're aiming for at the entry level for these different qualifications. Whilst on the qualifications, If, for example, you came to us without maths or GCSE at grade 4, we would also have part of your study programme would be around studying at GCSE to give you those key skills and to get those qualifications. And as you can see, the path then leads on to level 4 and 5, which is higher education, where we utilise UCAS points. We also are using our level 3 qualifications as a springboard for students who like to go on to higher education, study at universities all around the country. And we'll look at a few success stories later on around what students have done with us and where they've gone to after completing the qualifications. Business itself then, if I start by looking at that course, the actual business course is taught by teachers with expertise in a variety of curriculum related areas. We've got people from all sorts of different backgrounds, finance, marketing, and so on. And the idea is that we have staff that can provide a variety of input and real life experiences to bring the curriculum to life for students. In the second year, we've introduced a pathway option where students can identify a route that they might well be interested in pursuing as a next stage in terms of employment or maybe going to higher education. And what we're offering at the moment are pathways into marketing, accounting and finance, and then a mainstream option as well. Really, the way it's structured is that in the final year, we'll design a course with the units that lean more towards a particular interest that the student may have. What we find there is a good kind of handshake into higher education where they're getting a more detailed grounding in a particular area that they might well go into study, or if they look to go into that particular employment area as well. As mentioned before, we've got in-house higher education progression opportunities as well. Some students do like to stay in settings and facilities where they're comfortable, where they're familiar. And a lot of our lecturers also teach on those levels. So already that student relationship has been developed. So some students really feel comfortable doing that. We like to engage with a variety of guest speakers, and obviously current circumstances dictate, but we like to do educational visits where the opportunities arise. But that is driven obviously at the moment in the situation we find ourselves under. Ideally, I'd like to arrange visits to employers. We can look at using options like having London on our doorstep with the Royal Courts of Justice, looking at legal aspects of the business course, Houses of Parliament and so on. But those things will be developed over time. But that's what we like to try to do, is bring the curriculum to life by giving them out of the classroom experiences as well as in the classroom delivered tutorials and lessons and so on. We also foster strong links with our local community. So Welwyn Garden City, we've got Tesco, one of the UK's largest employers, on our doorstep. So again, we look to exploit the good position the college is in terms of geographic location and really reach out to local employers, so St Albans City and District Council, University of Hearts, Ocado, Rothamsted Research Institute. There's all sorts of different opportunities, and really here it's about bringing people from the field in and also giving a chance for our students to also go out and get a real taste for life outside of the educational environment, which is something they'll have been used to for so many years. So it gives them a real taste of what the next step into employment might be like. It also is a chance for them to network and start making connections in employment, and that way they can showcase their skills and abilities, and hopefully it'll catch the eye of employers and it will create another stepping stone opportunity for them. Course information around the travel and tourism courses that we offer. Again, we have tutors with years of experience within that curriculum area, and as with business, travel is also geographically placed in such a strong area. We've got so many options on our doorstep around London, the travel hubs there, various organisations with their headquarters nearby, and Luton Airport, Stansted being an easy reach as well. Again, utilising guest speakers in the area to come in and bring the curriculum to life, talking through their experiences and talking about different aspects of units that link to their roles within an organisation. The course itself builds towards, or in previous years, has built towards a week's residential. Recently, we've had cruises in the Mediterranean where students utilise learning they've done in the classroom around a variety of different units and then see it in action, for example, on a cruise ship. And it gives them a real life experience of what goes on and where these qualifications can actually take them in employment. Other areas we've tried to reach out to and develop are something a little bit different. We've just developed links with the Royal Air Force. They've got opportunities around ground and air crew. And again, these are things that in travel we've not really looked at before, but we're looking at trying to diversify the options for the students and give them a wider breadth of opportunities. So when they leave here and go into the workplace, they've got different avenues open to them and they're aware of the options available. And just to kind of reiterate that, here are some of the local employers and national employers we've worked with. So BA, Signature Airlines in particular has been a strong one we've had recently. They're a private air firm based at Luton who service celebrities and so on. And again, our students have got to work in those areas. Hanbury Manor, the RAF and Marriott and so on. The study program is something I mentioned before, and I think a lot of people when they come to college kind of focus purely on the subject, so business or travel, don't realise that the study program is actually what they're here to deal with. You have got the core qualification. You'll study and achieve a nationally recognised qualification in the subject area that you choose, but you'll also be expected to take part in a variety of other avenues which will enrich as a young person your opportunities and knowledge of the wider world. Maths and English, if you haven't achieved those grades at GCSE, will be something that we'll be looking at. Obviously, employers place a big focus on that when they look at entry requirements into employment. We also do a lot of work around employability and work experience skills. Every student will be expected to complete 20 to 40 hours of work experience. And this isn't just work experience to go through the motions. We want students to actually take part in work experience opportunities that are relevant to what they want to go into, and that will actually provide them with a knowledge and understanding of an employer or an employment area that will benefit them. We have a designated team at both sites who will provide students with careers meetings, advice and guidance around that, and it will open their eyes up to the opportunities that are out there that maybe they hadn't considered. We also look to develop personal development skills as well. So we run workshops with the students on a weekly basis, which carry a whole host of different skills. It can be looking at how to reference, how to write reports, how to present information to your peers, which are all transferable skills into employment. And we also look to develop their knowledge of the wider world. So it might well be that we capitalise on stuff that's in the news at the moment. Obviously, we're currently dominated by COVID and Brexit, but we try and bring those current affair issues into the classroom to discuss, to give them a wider understanding of the wider world. And again, these are things that will help them if they gain an understanding of these current affair topics, that when they go for interviews, they've got more to talk about. They've got a greater understanding of the impact of current affairs on their industries that they're choosing. And this will give them a broader understanding of how the wider employment world works. The way learning and lessons are structured is that study programs are full-time courses. We have students in college around 2.5 to 3 days a week, but that's not to say that that's it. It's a coursework-based qualification, which means that they need to be studying in their own time as well, particularly aiming towards the higher end qualifications. So for merits and distinctions, we expect to see students using their own time constructively, conducting research, working on coursework. It might be case studies they're given to look into, and we try and give them the tools so they can go and delve into the news, look at what's in the BBC, the Guardian, wherever else it might be, and really kind of delve into the subjects and immerse themselves in it. Other things, if I just go back, are assessments. Our assessments are assignment and exam based. So majority of the work is assignment based, where coursework will be given to students with deadlines, but also the awarding bodies have recently introduced exams into their courses. So for example, level 3 business and travel have 2 exams this year. So again, we look to develop their skills with mock assessments, using past papers to familiarise them with the kind of structure of questions they'd be asked to complete, and get them a feel for the exam environment, as well as the kind of knowledge they'll need to actually be successful within the exam. Lesson styles. What I like to see in terms of the lessons within my department are tutor-led presentations, but not that they're didactic and it's just one voice. I want students to be engaged and involved in the actual learning in the lessons, and I want them to be interesting, exciting lessons that capitalise on topical and current issues that are going on at the moment. So it brings their learning to life. but it means that they actually gain a greater understanding of theory linked to practice. They can see what we're talking about in terms of theories actually operating in the real world. So it gives them a chance to make that link between what they're learning about from a theoretical perspective and putting that into practice. Where possible, practical sessions are useful as well. So role plays in particular are really helpful when we look at employment skills, and also group and individual activities. So it could be presentations, and these develop communication skills as well as getting used to presenting information to large groups. It's really nerve-wracking for some people to kind of stand up in front of a crowd. We want to develop those skills, so all employers will value that. To also build up personal confidence and resilience. We have what's called Canvas, which is a virtual learning environment where my team will upload PowerPoint resources, extra reading, anything that will benefit the student to work on their assignment with. So again, they can access these tools remotely. They can log in from home. They also use this platform to submit coursework, to access their assignment briefings. And we also have an app as well, which has been launched, available for students and parents, which they can use on their phones, and it gives them access to things like their calendars and their timetables and things like that. So the idea is we give as many opportunities for students to engage, communicate with staff, and really get to grips with their course. And it allows them to tailor it around their needs as well, because young people have got things like part-time work, other commitments as well. So we want it to be a course that they can structure in their own time, as well as attending their timetabled lessons. They can direct their learning and take some personal responsibility. Outside of the learning and the lessons, we've got student support in place. During the time at the college, we like to provide the students with wraparound care around their own personal well-being and needs. They can book into our student advisors to gain any kind of welfare support and advice, confidential advice. We've got financial support for those who need it. So again, it's accessible for students. We make them well aware of it right from the beginning. It's a theme that runs throughout. Students will have a designated personal tutor as well, and we have one-to-ones at set periods throughout the year where they get to talk about their progress and areas that they wish to develop and anything they wish to gain more knowledge on or understanding around. And also what we like to do is reach out to parents and carers and anyone who's got an interest in the students as well. So students know that it's not just a two-way avenue. We'd like to give them the feeling that parents can be engaged in this and support them as well, because it is a big transition from school into college and it can be daunting. So we want to give them that feeling of support and guidance where they need it. And I want them to know that there's a network of support out there. And that's not just in the college, but also at home as well. Work experience is something I touched on before, but we have a designated team of mentors who help students achieve valuable and relevant work experience. I think relevance is the key word there. I don't want to just go through the motions. I want people to do things that's relevant and interesting for them. They'll get the most out of it by doing something that what they can actually see as a benefit to them. It's something that can go on a CV, something they can talk about in an interview, and it really gives them a real taste of the real world. In terms of progression, which I think is the key element we need to look at, it's not just doing qualifications for the sake of it, it's actually the next step. Where do you go? Just a quick sample of some of the roles that some of our students have gone into and the organisations they've gone into. We've got accounts executives, quantity surveyor, HR management, procurement manager, again with some firms that you may be familiar with there as well. So we do look at equipping students to go into employment, but it's also about equipping students as well for higher education, and we do see a lot of students going down that route too, into university. Here we've got a couple of testimonials from a business and from a travel student, and these resources we put online so you can kind of look through them in your own time. But a quote from Stephanie King that really stood out was, "This course helped me develop business skills to be able to venture into the business world." And that's really what I want to see, is that we're equipping young people with the tools and the skills and the know-how that they can make this next step once they complete their time here. I see the course as a stepping stone. It's a way of developing a range of skills, not just gaining a certificate and a piece of paper, but also become more knowledgeable and more confident and able to make that step into the wider world. In terms of if you decide that you wish to investigate further into courses at Oaklands, There's different stages you can follow. You can go to our website, or you can arrange online chat with our curriculum team. And we have live chat opportunities as well as email address there for you to gain more information. Our admissions team will then support, and it just gives you a step-by-step guide to how you can kind of enroll or register some interest. We're happy to field any questions like further down the line, not just this morning. And you don't feel that this is the one opportunity to pose the questions. If something comes to mind, me and my team will happily get back to you and kind of address any points or any queries or anything you're not too sure about as well. So moving on from that, we've got various social media platforms that you can get in touch with myself, my team, and our admissions team as well. So again, feel free to reach out and ask any questions that you do have. I just want to say thank you very much for taking time this morning to log on and listen as well. There's prospectuses available, there's information on our website about the courses. I really would suggest that you conduct research into it. It's like anything, it's a big commitment. You need to make sure that you're clear on what the actual course involves, what the commitments are, and making sure that things like travel to the sites and things like that are accessible and realistic. And again, we're happy to address any questions that you've got about that to put your mind at rest or see what support we can put in place. And with that, I believe we have a chat feature open at the moment. So George from our marketing team, if you could kind of direct us for the next step. But I just want to say thank you very much for your time this morning.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Ian. So we're just going to go through a few of the Q&A questions that have come through now. So we've got one through asking, can I go straight into level 3 travel if I have the required GCSEs? I don't know who wants to pick that up.
I'm happy to do that. Yeah, I mean,
okay.
Yeah, of course. We've got entry requirements. If you meet the required entry requirements, then absolutely. We're not saying you have to work up from level 1 to level 2 to level 3. If you meet the entry requirements that we've set, so the GCSE expectations, then absolutely, of course, go straight to the level 3 qualification. It's not a process as such that you have to follow each stage individually. If you've achieved those qualifications, and absolutely right, yes, go straight to level 3.
Okay, that's great, thanks. And we also had another one through just saying, depending on your GCSE grades, can you get an exemption for maths and English? So that would be based on the passing grade, I assume, and whether a retake was needed.
If you've achieved grade 4 in maths and English, then in terms of exemption, you've achieved the kind of minimum expectation. So you wouldn't be expected to enrol and carry on restudying maths and English. What we do is we're expected to develop your maths and English skills while you're on the course. It's part and parcel of your teaching and learning. So although it won't be overtly like you must attend as a timetabled GCSE lesson, within the actual assignments that you write, the way you structure them, there'll be a kind of hidden curriculum around development of those skills. Maths as well is a key part of our business courses in particular when we deal with finance. So your maths and English skills will be developed as part and parcel of the curriculum. Obviously, if you haven't made the grade 4 at GCSE maths and English, then that's an expectation that you will have to study at that level.
Okay. And there's just one that's just come through saying, if I'm not 100% sure that I want to sort of start at Oaklands or stay at sixth form, should I still apply for the college? So yeah, generally we do sort of encourage you to apply sort of in advance for as many courses as you'd like, and then you can accept whichever offer you'd like sort of nearer the time. We would encourage you to apply sort of near the time. I'm not sure if there's anything you need to add, Ian.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would say definitely the more options you have available, the better for you. I think the key thing is to investigate every avenue that you can and then make an informed decision. By applying, it just leaves that door open. But also by applying, you're not committing to us. We're not going to kind of come knocking at your door and demand that you take up a course with us. It just means that you've got options available to you, and it also gives us a level of communication so we can send more things back to you as well and address any questions and queries. But I would always encourage you to really investigate all options available, and definitely the more options you have means that when you come to make that final decision, you know, it's better for you. It's a nice dilemma to have, as opposed to thinking, oh no, right, that you know, that door's closed or I've missed that boat. I would definitely suggest opening as many avenues as possible.
Okay, thanks, Ian. We just had a few questions through actually, just around applying, which I should be able to answer. This was around when you apply for January starts and September starts next year. So we do have applications for both open at the moment. So January starts, obviously, we'd encourage you to apply sort of sooner rather than later, as that is coming around quickly. But we also do have applications open for our September 2021 starts. So please do feel free to make an application on the website. As soon as you'd like, and we can obviously ensure that we get everything sorted for you as soon as possible. And Ian, we just had another question through just around the level 3 business diploma course and whether that's available at Welling and St Albans. I'm not sure whether you can clarify.
So yeah, absolutely. The only restriction we've got is that travel is based at Welwyn Garden City. Business is based across both sites at level 2 and level 3. So yeah, absolutely. What we normally suggest is the geographical decision is based purely on your travel. So if St Albans is more convenient for you in terms of getting there for level 3 business, then absolutely. We also have the option of people taking part in the academies. So if you're a sports person, you've got that option, but that's purely run at St Albans because the facilities are there set up for academies. So yeah, level 3 for business is run at both sites.
Okay, brilliant. I'm just going to have another look through and see if we've got any questions. We are aware there is a slight delay in the video to the Q&A. So if you do have any questions, please do put those in now, because there is about a 30-second delay. So if you put those in the chat box now, we can answer those. We just had a question through, is there any risk to the second year specialist pathway if there's not enough take up? So I'm guessing this kind of comes back to sort of all courses really. Is there kind of a risk that some of them might not run?
No, it's not so much what course won't run. I understand what you mean, as in, let's say you get 3 people say they want to do finance and that's it. Our cohorts are generally very large for business. It's one of the most popular courses at the college. Finance and marketing have been earmarked because they're our 2 most common pathways. From us analysing the data on student destination, that's where we see most of our students if they go into higher education, and a lot in terms of employment is down that road. So I anticipate that they would run. Now, let's just say they wouldn't. There was no interest in marketing. It's not to say we'd ignore the marketing completely. We pick and choose units for the mainstream study program as well as for the pathways, and we can adapt and change it for the second year anyway. So we can make it a broad look if we wanted to at finance and marketing. Really what we do in the first year is get a good feel for what our students are interested in, and particularly in the one-to-ones and stuff like that, gives us a chance to really see where the majority of people have their interest, where their eye is for their next step, and we'll design our second year to try and cater for that. So we wouldn't then just say if there was no interest in marketing, we'd scratch all marketing units, because we'll want to provide a real holistic experience for business, not just a finance qualification as such. So we would provide units that look at a wide range, and that includes things like human resources as well, and starting a small business. We wouldn't abandon those topics, but it just means that maybe we wouldn't go into as much depth. But really, it's there as an option so people can come to us and say that this is what I want to do. And if we feel that that will meet their needs, we will run units that we feel will meet that specific need. Is Kerry, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to kind of just elaborate a bit about the pathways in terms of how they're working and what we've got in mind?
Absolutely. So we've got 2 pathways, as Ian said. So there's the accounting pathway and the marketing pathway, and they are run in partnership with the professional bodies. So the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, they're run in conjunction with those, so that they support in terms of the content of the units. They have input in that, and also the Chartered Institute of Marketing on the marketing pathway. So the sorts of units that you would study if you were doing those pathways are, so for accounting, you do things like investments and accounts for public limited companies, financial planning, Those are the sorts of units that you would study if you did the accounting pathway, and the marketing pathway, things like branding, relationship marketing, creative product promotion, advertising. So there's a real array of different topics within those areas, and it would then be, you would decide, because in the first year everybody studies, so one of your exams would be on finance, and another one is on marketing. So you have that experience in the first year to enable you to decide, you know, what is it that really interests you, and then decide that for the second year, and that's where you would then go down the pathway that you decide.
Okay, thank you. Cheers, Kerry. Okay, George, is there any other questions?
Thanks, Kerry. Yeah, we've just had a few questions actually through about the academies, and just how the business course works with those. So I'm guessing that works in a similar way to other courses, in that they can study an academy alongside.
Yeah, the way it works is we structure the timetable. So at the moment at St Albans in year 1 and year 2, on level 3, we have an AM set of classes, because the training, let's say for rugby academy, would be in the afternoon. So we run all our lessons in the morning, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 9 till around 1 o'clock, 12:30. You have your lunch break, and then training is scheduled for the afternoon. And then also we have a flipped round version as well, where lessons are in the afternoon if your training's in the morning. So we work in conjunction with the academies to make sure that game day is free on a Wednesday, and that training mirrors the learning, so you're not missing out on important training. But also, the one priority we do point out to students when they join academies is you're coming here to study business first and foremost, which might sound like putting a bit of a down on it, but the academies are in line with that. You're here for the academic qualifications, but we have designed it so you don't miss out. You will get to take part in both. Okay, so the timetables do complement each other in that way.
Okay, thanks, Ian. And somebody's just asked about qualifications. I'm presuming this is regards to the level 3. Do they get a qualification at the end of the first year as a kind of a standalone, or is it just at the end of the 2 years? Yeah,
the first year, the way it's set up is you can do a 90 credit diploma in the first year, and you can, if let's say the first year you decide I've done it and it's not for me, I've decided I want to go into sport, or whatever other academic area you want to go, or you just want to go into employment, you're not locked in for 2 years. You can walk away with the first year qualification. We load the compulsory elements of the course, the mandatory units, into the first year, so that way you're not locked in. It does give you that flexibility. I know some providers don't do that, but we feel it's good, because we do get, a lot of people come here and they're 16 years old. It's the first decision they make, and then they find out maybe their interests change and they want to move to something else, and that's absolutely fine. I'd much rather have people that are engaged on the course that want to be here, rather than people who feel like, well, I've made that decision and now I'm kind of locked in and stuck. And we don't want that. We want people to feel like they're progressing towards what interests and motivates them. So yeah, after 1 year you can walk away and take that qualification with you and move on to something else.
Okay, thanks, Ian. We just had one last question that's just come through about UCAS points. Somebody's just said, what are UCAS points? So would you mind sort of explaining a bit more about how they work?
Kerry, do you want to go on to UCAS points?
Yeah, so UCAS points are the points that you need to get to university. So when you're filling out your UCAS applications, different universities require different amounts of UCAS points, and BTEC give equivalent UCAS points to A-level. So A-levels give you UCAS points, but so does a BTEC. So as a rough guide, if you were to get a distinction star, at BTEC, that would give you the same amount of UCAS points as if you were to get AAA at A-level, and then merit is CCC, and then it goes on from there. So you do get the equivalent points, and then that enables you to apply for the university of your choice.
Yeah, so when you go onto the university websites, if you look at a course you're interested in, they'll have entry requirements, and it seems quite a jumble of options, but really what you're looking for is the points. A lot of them look at, they'll give you an equivalent of BTEC equivalent of maybe DDM, but they'll also say 110 points, for example. It's just a tally that you get given at the end of your 2 years, and it gives the university an idea of what level you've worked at. It's just that there's so many different qualifications that allow people to access university. It's just their kind of point scoring to get them in. So the important thing is to have a look at next step from college if you're looking at uni, and even look now, so it gives you an idea. And what my tutors and myself do is, for example, if you're in Kerry's tutor group, should run sessions as soon as you join around the whole next steps from college, which might seem a bit silly as you've got 2 years to go, but it explains the whole process about how, if you achieve a distinction, how it builds towards your overall portfolio score at the end of the year, at the end of the 2 years. And the key thing that's different from BTEC to A-level is that at A-level you're working towards an exam at the end of your studies. Here, each assignment counts towards your overall achievement. So you get a chance to kind of micromanage to a degree. If you know that you need to achieve, let's say, triple distinction or 120 points, whatever it might be, you can actually plot your route and work out, what grades you need to achieve in different units. So it gives you that sense of autonomy a little bit in terms of you've got more of a say over how you're progressing, whereas exams, from my personal experience, on the day, if you've studied and the right questions come up, then brilliant, it falls nicely. But sometimes you just have a bad day and things like that, and it is a kind of all or nothing feel with A-levels. But again, it depends how well you study towards exams compared to coursework. If coursework suits you, then it gives you, it might well play better for you in terms of your abilities, whereas some people prefer exams. So it is down to personal preference as well. But going right back to the question, the UCAS points are just the points you gain to access university courses.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks, Ian and Kerry. I think that was quite okay. I'm just going to have a quick look and see if we've had any more through. So somebody's just asked quite a good question, actually. If we haven't done our mock exams because of isolating, can we still apply with predicted grades to a course?
Yeah, absolutely. The predicted grades are what we go on to begin with. They give us a steer as towards your grades that you're going to achieve. Obviously, it's not set in stone. I know last year was different with the centre assessed grades that schools gave to students as well. But yeah, just base your application on predicted grades. If, let's say, for example, your predicted grades are low and then you sit your exams and you exceed what those predicted grades are, we're not going to lock you into a lower course. The final course you go on to will be dictated by the final grade that you achieve. It just gives us a rough idea as to what level you're working at, and it allows us to give the information about the specific course that would most likely be relevant to you. That's all. So it just gives us a kind of a guide. So yeah, apply based on predicted grades.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks, Ian. I'm just going to wait another 30 seconds and see if we've had any more questions come through. Somewhere there is a delay. So we have just had a question through. So somebody else, I know we've kind of covered the A-level side of things, but in general, what are the main differences between Oaklands College and choosing sixth form? So I'm guessing in addition to the sort of academic side.
Kerry, do you want to go with that one?
Yes, so the main difference would be in terms of what you're studying. So it is coursework based. So your BTEC is coursework based. We do have exams, but the majority of your work will be based on assignments. So we'll give you different assignments throughout the year for the different units that you're studying, and then you'll work towards those and give those back in beforehand. So like Ian said, if you're in sixth form, if you're doing A-levels, it's all that your grade is all based on that one exam at the end. Whereas with college, with doing a BTEC, it goes along throughout from the beginning all the way through to the end. So your first assignment that you hand in, so our first years have just handed in their first assignment, and that is graded, and then that grade will then go towards their final grade. Whereas obviously with A-levels, it's at the end of the year where you do your ASs and then you do your final A-level. There is an option to do an A-level, so one A-level alongside a BTEC, which is another option that we have, if that would interest you. Also, obviously, college is a very different setup to sixth form. I know some sixth forms you have to go in 5 days a week, whereas with college, like Ian was saying, it was 2.5 days to 3 days in comparison. So there's lots of independent study that you'll have to do. You'll have to be organised, you'll have to manage your time well, but you will be given the tools and the structure to do that by your tutors at college. We will support you a lot in that process.
I think a big difference as well in terms of A-levels and sixth form with colleges A lot of our students, we have around 60-70% of students that progress into higher education, go to university. Now, the way that the courses on a BTEC are structured is very similar to how you will study at higher education. So based around lectures, seminar groups, going away doing your research, developing skills around referencing, how reports are structured and so on. It equips students with a lot of tools that the first year at uni expects, I suppose, but develops, but you've already got a step ahead of your competition when you go there, so you're hitting the ground running. And I feel that the college system really do give you those skills that mean that transition to university is a bit more seamless, and particularly because universities are around, a lot of their work is around report writing. You've already got those skills in the bag. It makes that big step to higher education that a little bit easier to manage, whereas A-levels, I've come from A-levels, I did A-levels, and I found the transition to uni, the first year in particular, was a bit of a culture shock, having to learn those skills around report writing and managing short-term deadlines, as opposed to working towards an end-of-year deadline. I know there are deadlines within A-levels, but the BTEC is built around units, built around maybe quick turnaround of work. So it does equip you and set you up nicely for that step up as well.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks, Ian. And we just had a few final questions just around applications and about the deadline for applications. So we don't have a strict deadline for applications. Obviously, we do advise that you apply sooner in the year rather than later, especially sort of before the summer exams and everything, because that's obviously a busy time for kind of GCSEs. But there isn't a strict deadline. But obviously, we would encourage you to kind of aim to get your application in sort of definitely before kind of May time, just to obviously ensure that we have the time and you kind of have the time to then concentrate on your GCSEs. So, okay, I think that's all the questions we've had for now. So if you do have any further questions after the webinar's ended, please do get in touch with us via the details on our website. We do have our new course guide out at the moment, so there's some details here on where you can find this. And we also do have advice guidance support on our website, and our open day page is live for you to join any other webinars you'd like to join throughout the day. So we do have a full schedule on if you are interested in any other course areas. So we hope you found this webinar useful, and thank you for listening. And do head back to our website to find out more about either business or explore our other courses. So thank you everyone for listening.